Hello, it is Thursday. Beautiful Thursday. I want to take this moment. I know I hadn't been on here in a bit, but I want to talk about Tom Homan and the job he's doing and real estate, because I think that's on everybody's mind. Not really, but for people in real estate, I think they're all kind of skittish. So Tom Homan, with the big beautiful bill passing, it seems like ICE is going to get an injection of funding. Some people are complaining that he's got a bigger budget than most militaries around the world. That's good stuff. People have been asking to ramp up deportations. When he got started, they were like, oh, this is 5,000 a day, blah, blah, blah. It's not enough. And it's not, let's be honest. I know his big thing was when he first got into office, he wanted to find these thousands upon thousands of children that came across the border, then disappeared. It's a very important goal to have. However, a lot of us, we want Reimigration. We want to send them back. You know, it's not amnesty. You know, say anybody who's from a poor country can come here and claim amnesty because they come from a country that doesn't have the wealth, doesn't have the stability, blah, 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 whatever. That's more of a you problem than an us problem. We should have the right to allow certain numbers in and know who they are and vet them, but that's not what happened. He's like, oh, they came across, we got their name. Really? Anyway, so Tom Homan, now with such a very, very large budget, has the ability to ramp up deportations, which is what we hope. It's kind of interesting because when was that? Was it 2016 or 2020? I think it was 2020. Trump said that there are 20 million illegals in here, and all the mainstream media was saying, "Oh no, that's way too high. It's like, you know, maybe 12." The problem is we've been hearing 12 since, I don't know, 2000. This idea that there's only 12 million people here illegally, despite the border crossings for an additional 20 years. There's a study, Ivy League, I want to say it's Yale, that suggests it's at least 20. It might be 30. Some people have posited it's even more because we have the job growth numbers, and you're like, okay, well, not everyone who comes across is getting a foreign-born job, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the macroeconomics prove that there are a lot of people here, probably north of 30 million. The 20 million number was before Biden started letting people in, and by that estimation, there's at least 30 million. So, the fun stuff, if we're able to get rid of, let's just be generous, and say, you know, we're able to get rid of 20 million people in these 4 years, hypothetically. I don't know if it's possible, but let's, you know, assume. What is that going to do to housing? Well, that means that there's going to be more available supply, and this means it's going to drive prices down, hopefully. And I think a lot of people in the real estate sector, they hang their hats on rentals, not necessarily homes. We don't know how many illegals are owning homes through, you know, some entity or through a cousin that's here legally, you know, whatever. Anyway, it's not really a question of homes, I don't think, but if there's a lot of rentals that come on the market, that's going to drown a lot of real estate investors, for better or for worse. But that means that home prices will be affected because people will see that it's actually cheaper to rent finally instead of owning a home. You hear all these stories about people get like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for like $2,000 a month. But if they're trying to get a house that's a 2-1, their mortgage payment would be like $1,600. And so people are like, I don't qualify for a house to pay $1,600 a month, but I qualify for a $2,000 apartment. Doesn't make much sense. Anywho, a lot of apartment complexes are having a problem with occupancy already. And in 2020, they made this bet that, real estate would continue to go up. And so that they built a lot of some luxury, some mid-grade apartment complexes, and now they're unable to fill them because they're building for the future. I get it, but right now that they have really bad occupancy, and the problem with that is that a lot of these loans have a 5-year bubble, and so 5 years after 2020, here we are. And so I've seen some apartment buildings offer like 3 months rent free as long as you sign on to a 12-month lease, which is a nice deal, but you're still paying way too much for the other 9 months. So if we have mass deportations and you have a lot of these lower and middle grade apartment buildings struggle or go into foreclosure, someone's going to buy them up at pennies on the dollar and change the rents to reflect a lower price point. And we should hope that happens, but a lot of capital is going to be lost, which, too bad, so sad kind of scenario. You make a gamble, you chose wrong. I think a lot of people think that Donald Trump, he's in real estate. He wouldn't do this to real estate investors. Sorry, that was a bump over some tracks. If you can guess where I am right now, that's 100 internet points to you and your family. I don't know if he's necessarily looking out for the interests of real estate developers and all that, because here's the thing. You can't just pump money into a sector and shield that sector from other economic factors such as reimmigration and such. So what I wanted to get at is that if we have a mass deportation, I think we're going to see, I don't want to say a recession. I know a lot of people have been worried about the refinance after the 5 years for quite some time, especially with interest rates still being high. Getting rid of Jerome Powell and getting the interest rate started to knock down, that might allow some cover for these guys, but they're still going to have to come up with a lot of capital during the refinance because they don't have the cash flow already. So I don't know how that's going to play out. It may trigger some economic hard times for everyone, but I don't know. If we get to replicate what we saw in 2017 to 2020, where we have wage increases and decent productivity, drilling, and exports, which, say what you will about the tariffs, the whole point is that we will export fairly and get access to new markets that have been shut off or have had high tariffs on us. If that occurs where we're exporting more, we might have more cash on hand as Americans. We shall see. It's always about finding that new equilibrium in the market. If you know your econ, everything kind of reverts to a middle point, if you will. Can't give you an econ lesson on the road right now, but it's just whenever there's a disruption in the market, there is pain and pleasure in the short term, but then it always reverts to the fundamentals. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Basically saying, hey, I'm all for getting rid of 20, 30 million, maybe even more if they're there. Get them out of here. That's going to cause some pain, but I think we can weather the storm because we're changing other things as well. It's not Build Back Better. It's we're in this new golden age, but it's going to take time to realize it. So hope you all are having a good week. Later, guys.